My name is Andy Hornby, photographer and vlogger. 17 years ago I started teaching myself photography. Today I travel the UK as a professional wedding photographer, landscape photographer and filmmaker. Learn from my experiences, my mistakes and my tips and advice. I'm going to look at this image. Now the reason I'm going to look at this image is because I want to do a little bit of work in Photoshop. There's a little bit of skin retouching that I want to do. There's a few hairs out of place that I want to get rid of. I'm going to enhance the eyes, show you what to do with the eyes with this. And yeah, there's a little weeny bit of work to do in Lightroom, but most of the work's going to be done in Photoshop. So let's get into this. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a little weeny bit of contrast. Already pops that. And all I'm doing here with portrait shots is keeping an eye on the skin tone. It's a very warm day, so skin tones in this is already very yellow. If I wanted to maybe do a little bit of work, bring the background down, you know, I would probably do it globally. I want to bring the background temperature down slightly. It's a very warm day, you know, as shot would be, let's go, as shot would be there. But when you go away and you come back and look at it, you may want to add a teeny bit of magenta, bring the yellows down ever so slightly, and that's probably it for me. I wouldn't go too far. You got to remember when you're working with skin tones is it has to kind of match the scene. So if the scene is a very bright sunny day, and this is near towards getting on for golden hour, you have to show that in the image as well. You don't want to go too far. And there was a time when I shot weddings and my editing was very, very true to just, you know, getting skin tone perfect. And the problem with that is I ended up having a lot of blue images, because when you're shooting in sunlight, potentially natural light, you're going to get that kind of yellowy look on the skin, if you like, that really nice golden look. And when you start bringing that down to try and match a proper sort of skin tone, which is maybe there, you go away and come back and you'll see that the image is really blue, especially in black background. But we can work on, you know, color balance in Photoshop as well, and I'll do a bit of that later. My main interest here is to get into Photoshop and start looking at this. It's a headshot, so with full body shots like we did, I've done before, or with a shot like this, I wouldn't be looking at getting, you know, do skin retouches in a shot of that. It's just too far away. There's no detail in the skin to be seen anyway. But with a headshot, you've really got that really close look at the face. I've got a few blemishes here and there, and I'm probably going to do a little bit of work relighting the face slightly, just to kind of blend the skin back in. But I'm going to try and do that as quick as I possibly can before my laptop crashes again. So let's do a slight bit of texture reduction, and let's just bring up the shadows slightly. There's not a whole lot of, you know, massive amount I want to do here. We can sharpen the image in Lightroom. See the eyes pop there a little bit. Mask that out ever so slightly. We can enable profile correction. So what I'm going to do now is right click, edit in Photoshop, and I'll wait for that to load in, and I'll reshare my screen to Photoshop. Give me a second. It's loading in Photoshop. Let's have a look. She's in there. Let's share screen and Photoshop. Miss Nancy. There we go. So we're now in Photoshop. Let's put that somewhere out of the way. And first thing I'm going to do, Control J, is copy the background layer. Again, it's something I do all the time, just so we can work non-destructively. If I completely ruin the image, I've got a copy of the background. But I tend to work with layers, guys and girls. I don't tend to do my adjustments directly on the subject layer anyway. So I work with layers, and I do that because that makes it non-destructive. So all of our edits will be worked on separate layers. So let's think about what the first thing we're going to do when we're looking at skin retouching. The first thing we need to do is get rid of the blemishes. We can't retouch the skin unless we get rid of blemishes first. So I'm going to kind of zoom in and we're going to have a look. Last week I showed you that I use the patch tool quite a bit. I'm going to use that again in a second, but for initially I'm going to use just simply the spot healing brush. Just bump, get rid of that one hair. It's gone. There's another hair there that's kind of outplaced. Doing my nut in there, and that's probably about it. We've got a few eyelashes that are kind of on the wonk a little bit, but nothing major. We've got a hair there. I'm just gonna get rid of. Okay, so now I'm going to grab the patch tool and start working on some of the skin blemishes. Like I say, it's not a major problem when you work with a model that does quite good makeup anyway. It's just one of those things. Makeup, good makeup is going to save you a ton of time when you're working with a professional model and professional makeup artist. And I know that Miss Nancy does her own makeup pretty good. So there's only a few blemishes to get rid of where you're using flash. Unfortunately, flash is a bugger for bringing out every little dimple and nook and cranny in the skin, I'm afraid. So there's always potentially going to be some work to do, but you can't do the skin retouching without having done this process first. And I'm going to use the same process I used for the Milky Way dodging and burning. I'm going to try and edit the skin in the same way. There's a few ways to do it, and that is just one of the ways. It's very effective. I'm going to show you that with a low fill brush on the skin is going to do some ones. We've got some areas like underneath the eyes that I want to just lighten up ever so slightly, and there's a few other areas that I just want to darken ever so slightly, and we can really work around the sort of area around the mouth, and we've got a few areas there. I don't want to get rid of things like natural wrinkles and stuff like that. You don't really want to get rid of natural wrinkles. These things around the mouth. If you've got any dimples, you don't really want to get rid of dimples. There's a few lines under the eyes that you might want to get rid of, but I like to keep them because it keeps the face looking natural. There are some photographers out there that will go to the kind of nth degree of getting rid of pretty much everything, and I don't tend to do that. You can go through all these areas with little bits of hair, but again, it's natural stuff. I don't want to get rid of too much of the natural bits because it will just make it unnatural. There's no two ways about it. You want to keep the skin looking as natural as you can. And if I show you the before and after, just on that one layer, a few bits, the hair there, there's a hair there that we just get rid of really easily. You could do that on another layer. I've just done it on that layer for now, but I wouldn't tend to do much on the arm, especially when you've got things like tattoos. Otherwise, you're going to be doing a lot of work. And again, every image is different. You might find a model that things different. The things I'm looking at here is I'm going to do a little bit of skin blending. I'm not going to do advanced stuff. I'm going to show you a really easy way of sorting out the skin in a way of dodging and burning. In essence, is what we did with the Milky Way, but we're going to do that on the skin to give it a little bit of extra dimension, take away some of the shadows under the eyes here and around here, and then we're going to emphasize the eyes, maybe do a little bit of emphasis on the lips. I might even add a little bit of color into the lips, show you how easy that is to do. It's not difficult. There are, like I say, with Photoshop, there are 10 ton, there's hundreds of ways of doing the same thing. There's some more advanced ways of doing it. You've got things like, what do you call it? When you separate the, I can't even think now, but anyway, there's like hundreds of different ways of doing pretty much the same thing. You can do some things the easy way, which make it a little bit quicker. So for tutorials like this, I can get through it a little bit quicker. But there are some more advanced ways where, and I'll have a few videos that I need to post out on my Patreon few more advanced ways of doing frequency separation. That's it. So frequency separation is a little bit more advanced in terms of what you can do to smooth out the skin and stuff like that, which I'm not going to be doing today. So I'm going to add a new layer above this. It's a transparent layer. I'm going to take a brush, flow set to something really low. Let's just move. So I've got my panel open. Flow set to about 2%. And with foreground color set to white. Cancel that. Cancel that. Foreground color set to white. We're actually going to work on a few of these areas that I just want to lighten up ever so slightly. Let's do flow down to 1%. And we've got a soft brush. Make sure it's a soft brush. Just lightening areas that I feel it's probably gone a bit too far there. I feel I just need to be lightened ever so slightly. And just under there. Let's set this to overlay. And if I go quiet, it's because I'm trying to just concentrate a little bit. So if we turn that off and on, come out, see it's just adding a little bit of light underneath the eyes. There. Lighting down there. Just doing a little bit of skin retouching, nothing too much. Just lightening areas ever so slightly. And you never would have known if I hadn't shown you. Never would have known. You can also go through and do the same thing to like the arms and stuff. I'm not going to worry about that today. Just lightening the area there. Zoom out. Never would have known. See the whole kind of dynamic of the face just completely change. And that's kind of the idea. I haven't got time to go into like a massively detailed, advanced skin retouching, but if you need to kind of reshape the face with light, and again we can do darker areas as well. So we can change the brush now to black, and we can do areas that we want to add a little bit of more darkness to. We can almost reshape the nose. We can give a little bit more light definition in and around the face. And you can already see we've relit the face completely. May not be to your taste, it's certainly not to my taste, but it's a quick way of looking at how to retouch the face. Now let's look at the eyes, because I like to emphasize and sharpen eyes. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take let's do polygon lasso tool. Literally, I'm going to come around the tops of the eyes here, include the eyebrows. And I'm going to Control J, put that on its own layer, put it on I can stay underneath that, that's fine. And turn the other layers off, and you see I've just got the eyes. just got the eyes. Now there's a few things I'm going to do for this. I'm going to lighten it ever so slightly. So I'm just going to use a curves adjustment layer. Now if I just move, I'm going to clip that to the just the eyes level, and you can see us now only just affecting the eyes. And you can see what I'm going to do here. I'm actually going to take the eye exposure almost up. I'm going to invert by holding down Command, hitting the eye. That's now inverted. Get a brush with white as my foreground, and I'm going to light the areas that I want to light. So this is another way. Flow I'm going to put up to about 5%. So I'm going to light the areas, just the areas I want to light. That's going to include the whites of the eyes, just ever so slightly. Don't go overboard. I'll show you before and after. Subtle, but if I zoom out, it makes a huge difference. Let me zoom back in. There's a few things you can do here. Make your brush really small, and you can see almost there's almost white areas in the eyes themselves. Let's just emphasize that ever so slightly. I'm literally just dabbing almost on both sides. You can see the way the eye sort of has these little these like white light channels in them. And I'm not changing the color. I'm just adding whites to the areas. You can see I've got catch light in there from my light that I used. I'm actually going to lighten that a little bit, ever so slightly, a bit more in there. Zoom out and look at the eyes. Look at the difference. Turn them off. That was before and that was after. Ever so subtle, but I'll tell you what makes a huge amount of difference when you're working with faces. The eyes are the window to the soul, as they say. And when you're doing photography, you know that the focus is always on the eyes. So the next thing I'm going to do is same again. I'm going to add a new curves layer and bring down the exposure slightly. Clip it to that one layer to about, give or take, there. And again, invert the mask. And then on the areas that I now want to darken, I've now got a white brush and I'm going to darken the areas. I'm going to darken the irises for a start, ever so slightly. And these outside bits of the eyes there, darken them ever so slightly. This is pretty basic stuff, but it's stuff I've been doing for a long time. I don't generally do this kind of editing for weddings. I can't edit every single image like this. Just takes way too long. And again, the little channels in the eyes there, just darken a few of them up a little bit. Now you can hear my trackpad. I'm literally just dabbing on these. And the before and after. So we darken areas here, darken there. Just gives the eyebrows a little bit of a boost. Not a huge amount, just a little bit. And zoom out. And let's put these these into a group. And we can turn that group off. That's just the eyes. And just from there, look out what that does for the eyes. We can also sharpen the eyes. Let's open this group up and go to the eye layer, grab the sharpen tool, and ever so slightly, don't over sharpen the eyes. I'm at 6% strength. And that's pretty much it. And if you want to bring out a little bit more of the color, let's just on the eyes. We're just using the sponge tool there. This adds a little bit of saturation. If you do saturate the top, flow, probably around 10, saturate those eyes. And that's it. My eyes in most of my sort of close-up shots of like headshots, I'm always going to work on the eyes, and that's what it does for me. So look at the before and after on the eyes. Let's go to the before of I'm holding down the Option key and just hitting on the eye there. That's going to show up the background layer compared to the others, and that's the before and after of the head. And then I now want to go ahead and color grade the entire image. So let's do a curves adjustment layer on top, and we're now going to look at the blue channel. I'm going to bring the blues in the shadows up ever so slightly. That's going to see the background there just pop ever so slightly, and in the mid-tones, I'll leave them there, and the highlights bring down ever so slightly. Green channel, I had a bit of magenta in the mid-tones, and in my reds I'm just going to bring up in the highlight, nope, in the shadows I'm going to bring up just ever so slightly. Actually take down, giving that teal look in the background. Look, the background's now got a sort of teal look. We've got the orange and teal sort of movie look, if you like. And on another curves adjustment, you see I'm doing all these on different layers. We've got so many different layers open already. Look, all these adjustments on different layers. That's because we're working non-destructively. The background layer is still there. We've not affected the background layer at all. And all these layers we can change layer with opacity, stuff like that, and fill if we need to. If we think it's too much, and go away, come back, look at it. You think the eyes are, maybe the eyes are a bit too much, bring the opacity down in the eyes. See there, the eyes maybe were a bit too much. That's 60% give or take. And now on this curves adjustment layer, we're going to look at sort of global lighting, if you like, lighting. There we go. Again, I'm going to hold down the command, hit I to invert the mask, so that turns it off. Get a brush with white as my foreground. It's a soft brush, and I'm just going to dab on areas. I want this to only affect, well, it is only affecting. If I wanted this to only affect the body or the head, I'd have to cut her out. I'm not going to do that with this at the moment. So I'm just going to lighten certain areas that I want to just add a little bit more light. And if you look, you can see it's only just, I'm on 5% flow. The hair, definitely. How do you add shadows a bit? Same way I tend to add shadows. I'll use another curves adjustment area for shadows in a second. So let's light the hair a little bit there, hair there, hands in front, the whole face. I'm going to lighten a little bit. I'm going to dab over the eyes a few times because I like to lighten the eyes. And let's have a look at what that's doing for us. So in the same sense, I'm going to take another, I always work with curves. You could do this with levels. Like I say, there's 100 different ways of doing the same thing. You could do it with levels. I just tend to use curves. I find I have more control. I'm just used to curves. So again, I'm going to turn that mask off, Control I, turns it off, get a white brush, and now work on areas that I now want to darken. So maybe the hair that side, hair underneath there. Let's darken the face down a little bit, that side, that side. Kind of thins the face out a little bit as well when you start working like this. I've now got light in the sort of front area of the face and dark sort of shadows around the outside. Let's do that. Let's do that there. Let's get some dark in there. And again, it's a soft round brush. Flow set quite low at 5%. And I'm just going over the areas, and because it's flow and not opacity I'm working with, every time I go back over it adds another layer of darkness, so I can just build up the darkness through there. Let's just carry on doing that. I'm going to show you what I would do with the lips. So I was going to do that. No, I haven't done that yet, so I'll do that in a second. So the before and after there, we can group those two together. Control G, and we can call that the highlights and shadows. So we can turn that off and show you what we've done there. So it's kind of reshaping the body now using light. It's an old technique that even back in the film days, you can dodge and burn this way in film, and you know, completely restructure the whole shape of a body, shape of a face, just by using light and shadows. You know, you can make a face appear thinner, a body appear thinner, just by working with light and shadows. And it's a good technique to learn and get used to. But using curves this way makes it really easy. It's really fast. Again, you could use a 50% grey layer or transparent layer, using whites and blacks and stuff, and use that. But I tend to use curves because it's a lot easier and I'm used to working with it. Makes it really easy. Lips. Let's take this again, a bit like we did with the eyes. I'm gonna just take just outside the lips. Don't need to be inside or make a really you don't need to make a really delicate selection. I'm just going to Control J once I've got that and show you that on that layer all I've got is the lips, and we can change the color just by adding, again, I'm going to use curves. So curves adjustment layer above that, clip it to that one layer. So whatever we do to this is only going to affect that layer. So look, I can lighten and darken it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken it ever so slightly, because that kind of changes the color anyway. And you can see that it's affecting our entire selection. Don't worry, I'm going to turn the mask off and do what we did before by adding back in the areas I want. If I now go into the reds and bring the reds up, see what it's doing? If I bring the reds up in the midtones, I can bring the reds up in the shadows and completely change the color of the lips. Again, guys, this is a really easy way of doing this. Let me turn off, Control I is going to turn off the mask, grab a brush, again with a fairly low flow. I'm just going to paint over the lips. And all that's going to do is add back in what we just did in the areas I want. So I'm working non-destructively, and that's the kind of essence of this. Work non-destructively as best you can. You know, we can completely relight the lips, make it look like there's potentially, if I turn that off, a little bit of lipstick on there, just a touch. Again, I haven't worked with the, I haven't taken away any of the shadows, I haven't taken away any highlights, so we're still getting that catch light in the lips. But you can work on that if you wanted to. You can add more catch light, add darker areas. If you want, I can add another one. Let's go another curves layer, clip that, and go really dark there. Control I would turn it off, grab a brush, come in here, and you can line the lips as if it's been, well, you know, as if there's more lipstick on there than what there is. I'm not doing anything other than adding a little bit of, and you can't really see it when you zoomed in like this. You have to zoom back out to really get the gist of it. But I've now added kind of lipstick, if you like, with a lip liner. I believe that's what it's called. I don't know. Don't use the stuff myself, but I believe that's what it's called, lip liner around there. So if I group those two layers together with the lips and turn it off, we've now completely reshaped the lips. Or say reshaped, recolored the lips, if you like. And again, with you can add other colors to that. You can do all kinds of bits and pieces, but everything is now on different layers. So let's do lips on there. This is the group for the eyes. This was the face reshape. Global color, and highlights and shadows. That's original background. Okay, we can turn that one off. Okay, so we've got a original background there with I don't know what we did with that. Oh, that was the That was the skin blemishes. So let's do blemishes. I think I spelled that right. And then we can turn the lips on. We can turn the eyes on. Face reshape, global color, highlights and shadows. And there's actually quite a few layers there if you look through there. But we've worked really quickly on an image that you've reshaped the face, then you've reshaped the body, you've globally retouched the whole thing. I'd probably give this a bit of a vignette next. So to do that, what I would tend to do is add a solid color adjustment layer. Black's fine. Let's zoom out just slightly, grab the elliptical tool somewhere inside there. Try and keep it so you're kind of around there. Select a mask, give this a feather bump, and if you go over to the mask, hit the backstroke or delete key, and you've automatically got a feathered vignette, if you like. And all we need to do with this, you can play around with the blend mode. Sometimes overlay is a good one. Doesn't really work with the skin down there. Look, soft light potentially will work better because of the skin tones. And then just turn down the opacity. Turn it right down and just sort of bring it in ever so slightly. And you have a vignette. Last thing I would do, just to blend the whole kind of thing into one, is maybe a color lookup. I told you about this last week. The color lookup stuff is really good. Crisp winter look, maybe too much. Look at that. Let's have a look at amber. I actually like this one, but obviously you wouldn't use that there. You'd turn the opacity right down and just bring it in ever so slightly. We brought back that cool, sorry, that warm golden glow there, and it's added it to the whole image. So potentially, if you've done a composite potentially, or you've added something to the image, you'd use a lookup, a color lookup right at the end, just kind of brings the whole image back in, and because it works with all the colors and it's like a film LUT, if you like, it kind of brings the whole image back together. So from that's the first original image to that, I'll be happy with that. I think that's quite good. I don't know, I'm not overly keen now on the lookup. Let's change the lookup to crisp warm. That's better. Crisp warm. Let's bring that up. Yeah, that's better for skin tone. Crisp warm look. So from there to there. Do you like that, Margaret? Hope that's, I mean, for what we spent about half an hour on that image, give or take. When you working with models and you're doing sort of your model portfolio, if you like, getting the eyes, you know, reshaping the face. Sometimes you might want to reshape the nose with, and you can do all that with light. All of these retouches, apart from sharpening and we've done a little bit of work with the saturation on the eyes. Everything else has been done with light. Everything, apart from obviously the color lookup, but everything has been done using light. We've reshaped the body, reshaped the face, you know, added shadows and highlights here, dodging and burning at its simplest, but it's you know, it's completely reshaped the body, reshaped the face. So I hope that kind of, you know, when you're working with models, it's giving you an idea of what you can do just by working with light. You know, you've got to keep the skin tone. Before and after, John. Yeah, the before is that one there. There's the before. That's the before, and that's the after. If I take it back into Lightroom, so if I save that out and take it into Lightroom, I can show you the before the Lightroom edits as well, because this will now go back into Lightroom as a TIFF, and I can show you that. Let me just make sure it's gone back into Lightroom. And it hasn't completely knackered my Lightroom up. Okay, so let's stop sharing that. And now I'll share Lightroom. So that's it back in, show you the information. All right, so that's the information. That is the after. Let's go back to the import. So that's the imported original straight out of camera. So that's now straight out of camera. That's back to the import down there. You can see that. So on your video, you can play the video and do an editing on my video. So on your video, can I play the video and do an editing on my originals? I'm not quite sure what you mean, Margaret. Do you mean, I don't know what you mean. You might have to explain that a little bit better. Sorry. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what you can do with portrait images. And that's the after. I think looking at it now, the lips would be too much for me. I wouldn't do that with the lips myself. Definitely the eyes. The eyes are definitely the one to go for. If I put these both side by side, let's do that. Hang on. So that's side by side. We can zoom in to the face. That's side by side. Eyes are much better. They're brighter. They're sharper. We've done a lot to the skin. Look at the skin. This side is a lot nicer at the same time. Can I play the video and do editing? Maybe, Margaret. Yeah, I mean, it depends what images you've got. Play the video back and see if you can work on your images at the same time. I don't know. Every image is different. Unfortunately, I can't tell you whether what I'm doing here is going to work on an image you've got. But there's the before and after. They're the wrong way around, obviously. Switch them over. But yeah, there's the kind of edit. Definitely on the eyes. I wouldn't generally go that far on the lips. I've just done that as a way to show you what you can do. So can I play your editing videos and work on my photo? Yeah, you can play the video maybe on maybe your TV or your phone and edit on your laptop at the same time. You should be able to do that. I can maybe do some standalone editing videos on portraits if that's what you guys would like me to do. I can do this as standalone editing stuff because this stuff is fairly, I wouldn't say basic, but the style of editing is fairly easy to do. You just need to understand curves and how they work and masking, which is fairly simple. The skin tone is nicer, I think, in this image. If you look at the image on the left there, it looks slightly thinner. It's not. I've not done anything to it. The reason why it looks thinner is because we've dodged and burned. Everything sort of on front and with the eyes is a lot lighter than the sides. If you look at this image, it's very flat. So the image on the right looks like the face is rounded. Does that make sense? And it's actually not. We've actually just used dodging and burning to reshape the face slightly without actually moving the face. I mean, you could use that. You could use the liquify tool if you really wanted to and liquify the face in. But we've actually used Margaret. Margaret used 2 screens on with Andy's session. Yeah. So Margaret, if you got 2 screens maybe on maybe YouTube on your TV or YouTube on your phone maybe, and edit on your laptop, you'll be able to pause the video here and there where you need to. Yeah, thanks, John. Yeah, cool. So yeah, for portraits, bingo bango. Still here, nice. It's good that you're still here because I want to tell you a little something. Those people who are avid followers of me, I want to give a little something back, and to do that it means working alongside you online because a lot of you can't make it to my workshop. So I've just set up a Patreon account. It is patreon.com/Andy Hornby Photos. So Patreon is a platform where we can create stuff together even if you're halfway across the globe, and I can learn and teach alongside you, literally alongside you. There's so many things I can do to help you get your photography just to that next level. It is awesome. If you can make it to one of my workshops, I've got a website. Go to ahphotographyworkshops.uk and have a look, see what I've got going on. But if you can't make it to one of my workshops, Patreon is a really good platform where we can create stuff together and we can take your photography to another level. So if you like what I'm doing and you want me to learn alongside yourself, see you there. Take it easy, have a good day. Bye.